Hi everyone. In December, Leia promised that I'll come back to this channel. She did not lie, that's why we're doing this today.
Okay.
Now the real intro.
Hi everyone. The last time I had my husband on the channel was back in December when we did a video about Dawn Shard and disability and talking about disability in Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere and in fantasy and science fiction in general. At that time I promised I was going to have him back on the channel to do a more fun, lighthearted video, so I thought that's what we would do today. I'm going to be talking with him about all the books that I recommended to him, aka forced him to read, that I read and reviewed in 2020. So we're going to be talking about some of those books today. And we've just confirmed that he was in fact wearing a different shirt in the last video, so I think we're all set and ready to go. Do you have any idea what I'm going to be asking you about today?
No, just that these are books that I read, hopefully recently enough that I still remember them. But no, I really don't know which books.
So how much of your reading do you think is based on recommendations from me?
At least 50%, probably 70%.
Because you were complaining about this recently. You were complaining that it was impossible to recommend books to me because all of the books you read were recommendations from me.
Yeah, and all the fantasy and science fiction books that I read are your recommendations. Because you read a lot more than me, and that way I don't have to read the bad ones. And I trust in your taste, actually. We have very similar taste. And then the stuff that I read on my own that you haven't read are like biographies or business books, self-development, things like that. So yeah, basically most of what I read for pleasure comes from you.
So most of the other stuff that you read, I get to hear about at length while you're reading it as well, so...
Well, because you don't read them, so I figured I might as well help you out.
Because by the time you've finished reading them, I already know everything that's in the book, so it would be redundant. Okay, so I have a list of books here of, I think, the books that I recommended to you in 2020 that you have read, mostly in 2020 as well, but a few of them might be spilling over into this year, so we'll see. So I figured what I would do is I would just go down this list in the order that I read them in, and we can find out what you thought.
You got it.
Are you ready? Are you secretly worried that you will have forgotten all about one of these books?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Should I have the book here as a prop?
Yeah, let's do it.
Can you do it again?
Yeah, oh, I can't look at the list.
Yeah.
So we're working on getting books over here, and so I'm not reading what books these are. I'm very good at not seeing when I need to.
Okay, so going chronologically, the first book that I recommended to you this year was The Goblin Emperor by Katherine Addison.
Awesome.
Here you go. You can have a prop now.
Yay. I actually really love this book. I listened to it on audiobook. Leia had warned me that there are way too many names and that they're way too similar and long. And she wasn't wrong, because I think it took about half the book before I realized that what I thought was a person's first name was really like a nobility title, and then I really couldn't remember which character was which. And since I wasn't reading it and I was listening to it, it wasn't exactly easy to go back. So I figured it all out. It worked out. But I really enjoyed this book. It's definitely a character-driven book. Basically, you're stuck in a palace almost the entire time, or thereabouts. And but yeah, the character development is really great, and there's a lot of politics, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, you really like books that have a lot of politics and intrigue, so I think that's one of the reasons that I thought you would like it. But honestly, I just really liked this book and was really enthusiastic about it, so I decided that you should read it. How would you rate this if you had to give like out of 5 stars?
I can't remember. I think I did rate this on my recently made Goodreads, but I don't remember what I rated it. I think it's somewhere on a 4 or 5. You know, it's a very high 4 for me at the very least, if not a 5.
So the next book that I think I recommended to you in 2020 was Gideon the Ninth by Tamsyn Muir, which I think, actually, I don't even know if I actually recommended this to you. I was reading it on my phone, and I'm pretty sure I just made you come over and read a passage from the first or second chapter because I thought it was really funny.
Yeah, you didn't recommend it. You came in and you just showed me that passage. It was near the beginning for you too. Like you hadn't gotten very far
I had just
either.
started reading it.
And I loved it. It's exactly the type of humor that I like. It's kind of dark, but kind of witty, and Yeah, I loved this book. It was such a quick and easy read for me, and it was fantastic. I think this is a 5-star book for me. The next one, the
Yeah, I
sequel
guess, should
to
we
it,
count? I think that's actually not on this list, even though we both read it last year, and I'm still trying to say this year. I'm sorry. We both read Harrow the Ninth when it came out over the summer, and I read it first, and then you read it. But
yeah, it kind of broke both of us. It is one of the weirdest books I've ever read. I think I liked it. I can't really tell you yet. I feel like I kind of need to reread both of these books, kind of knowing what I know now. But it
so
was pretty brilliant in many ways and messed up, not in a disgusting or messed up way, just it messed with my head so much.
So if I was going to tell you that the third book is not coming out in 2021, it's actually delayed by a year, how do you feel about that?
I'm very happy.
You're happy?
Yeah, I don't know what to expect and I'm a little afraid, so I think I need to do a reread before I'm ready for the third book.
See, I was disappointed because I feel like the third book might kind of define how I feel about the entire trilogy.
That's fair, but I'm still happy.
Would you say that you are a more patient person than me?
I don't know. Do you really think so? Yes, definitely.
All right. So,
Oh, I know what's coming next.
yeah, the next book, I think this is still chronological. We have Empire of Gold.
See, the reason I knew was based off of the size of the books and where they are on the shelf. And you can just kind of hear the size of the book.
You have very good spatial awareness. I don't know if I would have figured that out.
No, and I may have seen it on the list, but
You didn't see the list.
I did. InCryptid is on there as well.
You're turning into me, looking at stuff you're not supposed to.
I glanced before I realized I'm not supposed to. Anyway, I love this book. This was the third book in the David trilogy, and I mean, I loved the whole trilogy. And this was actually a really great way of wrapping it up. It didn't end exactly how I thought it would, and it's definitely better than I thought it would be. So I really loved this. I listened to this again because I listened to the entire trilogy. And yeah, it was really fantastic. Highly recommend it. And it was fairly easy read. I mean, it's not that crazy deep in many ways. It's a fun adventure with a lot of great characters and mythology combined in a very interesting way.
What's your favorite thing about the trilogy?
Mish Mish.
That's right. There is a pet, without giving any spoilers, named Mish Mish, which means
apricot in Hebrew.
And I guess probably also in Arabic.
Well, yeah, I'm assuming that too. And I think it's because it liked eating the apricots. Yeah. So
do you say apricot?
Yeah. What do you say?
Apricot.
Well, you're wrong. Yeah, I say apricot. I don't know why.
I never noticed that.
I didn't notice that you said it differently.
All right. Should we move on?
Probably.
All right.
But I really like this book.
You can hold it. You can keep holding
also,
it. Also,
this is finally, for the first time, I'm on the other end of holding this. And there's been so many times that Leia's held it and pointed it like this. And so it's just like a piece of gold. So I've been really trying to point it this way for you guys. I don't know how I did. I haven't really been paying attention to the screen.
In my defense, usually I do not film with the viewfinder flipped up on the camera, so I have no idea.
But I get to see it, and it's blinding whenever I'm looking at the screen.
Okay, I think you're doing good right now. Good. Do you want to also like hold it forward?
Ta-da!
So I'm pretty sure this is out of order chronologically. I think I read it earlier in the year. I think I read this before I started my channel. Here, you can take it. And it is Finder by Suzanne Palmer.
Yeah, I DNF'd this one.
How far did you get?
Like, wait, is it marked? No, it's no longer marked. I think like chapter 2.
This is going to do great for me convincing people that this is an underrated series.
Yeah, I didn't rate it. It's so underrated. No, I actually ended up getting this as an audiobook, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to get into it through there. I just wasn't in the right place for this book, and I think I didn't read long enough into it to really get into the book, and so I just didn't really enjoy it. I didn't have a mind for random space travel to far off places and all of that. So instead, I found other books.
The next book on my list is actually a series because I know you've read the first few. This is the InCryptid series by Seanan and McGuire. The first one is called, oh my god, now I can't remember. Something with the Pocket Apocalypse.
Oh, yeah.
The first one is called Pocket Apocalypse, and this is something I recommended to you because I read it for my Hugo Awards reading project when I was doing the series over the summer, and so tell us what you thought of it.
I love this series. One of my favorites from this past year, from 2020. Just in general, it's one of my favorites. It's so fun and it's exciting. You get to meet all these interesting characters. Some of them are based off of creatures that we've heard about. Others I personally hadn't heard of, but maybe they are based in other mythologies and things like that. And you have a crazy, bloodthirsty group that's after your main characters who are also just as crazy and used to be in that group. It was wonderful. There's a lot of fun moments, a lot of craziness, really funny. I just really enjoyed it. It's light, it's easy to read. There are like 10 of these, so I'm not going to get through them anytime soon. But I basically I think I read 3 of them, and I kind of used them as spacers between bigger books or more intense books. And it's perfect for that because it's just a quick, relaxed read. It kind of feels, in a way, for me, in terms of where I like to place them in my reading, like Terry Pratchett's Discworld books, but I like it way more than that, actually, and it's more mature than that. And it's wonderful.
I feel like the Discworld fans might be mad at you for saying
No,
that.
I love Discworld, and I've read a lot of them, and they're light and they're easy to read. They have depth in their comedic wordplay, and this kind of has that too. It's just, it feels a little more adult-like.
So the next book on my list is one that I made you read, I'm pretty sure, and I wasn't even going to tell you to read it, but then I was so not confused. I had such a mixed but also positive reaction to it that I felt like I really needed somebody else to read it, and that somebody else is usually you. Do you know what it is?
Yeah. The Raven Tower by Anne Leckie.
Yes, good job.
Yay. And the fact that I remember the author's name is actually pretty big for me. I love this book. This was one of my favorite books for 2020, actually. And I completely understand why Leia had to read it twice. But knowing some of the things that she had mentioned as to why she needed to read it twice, because she basically skipped an entire viewpoint, which is half the book, I made sure to really concentrate on that half of it as much as the other half. It was brilliant. It was brilliantly written. I loved the fact that there are all these gods in this world, and what they say has to become true. And if they say something that is too difficult to become true, it basically kills them. And so it was really interesting to see how that played out, because you kind of get the historical view from one of the gods, and then you have a more limited view to a certain, what we could call like a present moment, not present in our world, but in their world. So it was really interesting to see how it got to the present in that world, as well as what was happening all around it, and just with the gods in general separate from the main viewpoints.
It seems like you actually related to that god narrative more than the fact that this is kind of a Hamlet retelling.
Yeah, the Hamlet retelling was meh. The god part was really interesting. No, actually, I really enjoyed the Hamlet retelling part, but, like you said, it's a Hamlet retelling. I read Hamlet, but the god part I didn't know about, so that was the interesting part for me.
And how did you feel about the fact that this book was in second person?
I loved it. This is the first book that I've ever read in second person.
That's not true, because you had read Harrow the Ninth right before you read this, right?
No, I think I read this and then Harrow.
Really?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Either way, I'm a big fan of second person now. But I literally read them, I think, back to back. I just don't remember which I read first.
Me neither.
You know what? You're right. I think I read Harrow first.
I think I read Harrow first, too.
Yeah, I think I did read Harrow first. So I was pretty used to it, so I loved it. But yeah, it still took a little while to get used to certain things because it was in second person. But overall, I really see that there's a lot of depth that you can give to a book actually having it in second person with what you omit as much as what you put in. So it was fantastic.
Did you ever think you would like reading a book in second person?
No, no, definitely not. So what do we have next?
I actually put down as number 7 the entire Cosmere.
Ooh.
Because I was doing a Cosmere reread last year, and so you decided to do a Cosmere reread as well.
Yes.
So how did that go? Tell us.
For the record, out of everyone that has been doing the Cosmere reread around us, technically I'm the only one that finished.
Because I haven't finished the White Sand graphic novels yet.
So yeah, exactly. So I would like points for that. But
okay, sure, you got points. You're the winner.
But she did actually finish before me, despite being way behind.
Did I?
Yeah.
Did I finish rereading?
You finished reading Rhythm of War, and you finished rereading the Second Era Mistborn.
Before you were done listening to Rhythm of War?
Yeah, just a little before.
So technically I'm the winner.
Yes, except you didn't actually complete the Cosmere.
So you're the winner.
So we're both winners.
I didn't know this was a race.
It wasn't, but, you know, it was a race to the finish for both of us, and we both failed at that. So, you know, there's that. I love the Cosmere. It's really fantastic, and I really enjoyed rereading it because in the past, for example, I had read Elantris and Warbreaker back to back, and for years I would get details of both of those books mixed up, and I just couldn't quite remember what was going on, so this time I spaced them out differently. I got to see so many more details and was able to actually read Rhythm of War looking for all the different Easter eggs, and that was really fun. And I actually got most of them. I did not get the and there were a couple other things that I didn't get, but most of them I got, which was really fun.
I'm gonna bleep out your spoilers.
Oh, I'm so sorry. The dragon's not a spoiler.
Yeah, you're right. It's barely even in there.
It doesn't affect anything.
No, probably. So you got really into finding all the little Cosmere details in Rhythm of War, and I got really frustrated sometimes when you were listening to it because you'd be right before or right after some intense emotional scene, and you were obsessing about the goose fletching on the Horn-Eater's arrows.
Yeah, so I guess
I think is unexplained.
Yeah, well, I was wondering about that because, I mean, I guess it's in some of the earlier books, according to what I looked up online, but I was like, goose fletching, why is it a goose? How did they know about geese? You know, why isn't it chicken fletching?
So Brandon Sanderson was actually one of the first authors I ever recommended to you. Was that the first thing I ever recommended to you?
I think so. I think it's the first thing you ever recommended to me. I'm not sure if it's the first thing that I read.
I think it was. I think you read it pretty soon after our first date.
Yeah, you know what? I think you're right. Yeah, I did read that first, and then over the summer, you bought me my first Miles book.
That's true.
And that became another favorite.
Now I have a bonus for you because when you ditched Finder recently, I told you really needed to read this.
Oh, yay! Oh my god, I loved this. Definitely 5 stars. I couldn't put this down. This is His Majesty's Dragon by Naomi Novik. Loved the book. Can't wait to read the rest of the series, or at least the next book. We'll see how far I'll get. But I really loved this.
So how would you describe this book?
Well, I can tell you how you like to describe this book, which is Master and Commander in the Air with Dragons.
That is basically what this book is.
Yeah, it's basically that. But it's just a really great story about this guy who didn't want to be saddled with a dragon, which I really liked. I really liked the premise that for once being saddled with a dragon is actually a burden that no one really wants, rather than some great and amazing thing. But then, I mean, of course, he gets really close to the dragon, and it's a really lovely relationship. And yeah, it's really awesome. I really enjoyed this book. Captured the imagination.
So to finish up, I think the 2 books that you're reading right now are both books that I technically recommended to you. So tell us about that.
Yes. So I am listening to The Relentless Moon by
Mary Robinette Kowal.
Thank you. Like I said, I don't remember authors' names. Yeah, I'm loving this so far. It's a different viewpoint. We are getting the viewpoint. Can I say whose viewpoint we're getting?
Yeah, I should say this is the 3rd book in the Lady Astronaut series.
Yes, and we are getting a viewpoint of the wife of the now mayor before he was a senator. And it's really interesting. You get to see life on Earth post meteor hitting and everyone needing to get off of Earth from a very different point of view, from more of the political side, as well as just the relationship of her and her husband. She's an astronaut who is on the moon. It's really interesting. You still get the typical great things in this book, which is really the relationships. She writes such good relationships and such realistic relationships that you always find something in it to relate to, even if it has nothing to do with any relationships you've ever had. But it's just always feels so real, and the story around it is also wonderful, but it's really about the relationships.
And what else are you reading right now?
And then, yeah, she's really excited. She's wanted me to read this for so long.
Was I after you to read it for a long time?
You
Me?
really were. Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
I never bug you to read things.
Never. So this book I'm reading from Libby, on my phone, and it is Senlin Ascends by
Josiah Bancroft.
Thank you.
Sorry, I had a blank moment myself there.
I love this book. I am probably like 60 some percent of the way through it. And right now it's definitely out of 5 stars. And it's just, if it fails me, it fails me. But it's a wonderful book. It took me a little while to get into it, but the writing is so beautiful, so evocative, and just the whole getting to see all these different layers of this Babel Tower is so cool. And it's never what you expect it to be.
Is there anything I've been telling you to read that you're looking forward to?
No, I hate all your recommendations.
Thanks for that.
Yes, A Memory Called Empire. I am really excited to read this book. I have been hearing all about it ever since the Hugo Awards challenge that you did happened. And yeah, I recently got it on Audible, so I'm excited to get to it.
Is there anything I've been trying to get you to read that you're resisting?
Probably.
I've been trying to get you to read The Grace of Kings. You and Daniel.
Oh, yeah. But to be fair, I got that confused with a different book. So that was on me. I'm actually pretty excited to read it, but I keep forgetting. So I'll have to make sure to put it on my want to read list.
Do you want to do some sort of outro?
Yeah, I would love to. So I'm so excited to have gotten to be on this channel again with Leia. I always have so much fun getting to film with her. I'm usually on the other side, so this is a lot of fun. And yeah, I hope that you enjoyed our video, and please like and subscribe so that Leia invites me to come back on.